Hi and welcome back. Besides some UB game, which was a disaster by the way, I finally got to play my first 1.2 game. And I thought I should share it with those of you who are interested. It was against Johan and his Empire army. His army looked mostly like this, and although we are in the same club, it's been years since I've played against him. So with the new update, I've been forced to try out both a new army setup and a new playstyle. So this is also how my list look nowadays. The spirit of the army, as you can see, is much like the old ones, with a Prince, Altar BSB and a fairly good combat block. Not as killy as the Tower Guards, but I wanted the option to have a unit that sometimes also can take a punch and not just hand them out. Since I don't dare to have oracles in my expensive infantry, I went for the Gemma Acolytes instead. With the magic changes and the restraints on destroyers, I decided to go for a bit more MSU than usual, and the Kraken also made a small comeback. It's probably not an optimal build at the moment, but it seemed like fun, and I feel like I just need to try things out. So, well, for the game then. We roll the new kind of deployment, which I've forgotten the name of. It was a bit interesting, but it didn't have much of an impact in the end. Scenario was hold the ground, and he deployed his volley gun relatively early, so I deployed much of my fast stuff on my left in hope of getting around his flank and threaten his shooting from behind, while using the building and the impossible for protection. When he deployed most of his combat units on his left, I went for first turn, focus on my left, and only leaving some harassing units on the right. So, furthest to the left then, we have two raiders with acolytes and Kraken behind. Then the Prince with Corsairs, BSB with Dancers, and in the middle the other Corsair unit, and the bolt thrower, and furthest to the right, Lost Raider unit and the other acolyte unit. On his side from the left are his knights, spearmen, swordsmen with general, wizard and the prelate. Next, the halberds, volley gun with crossbows behind, tank, flagellants with a prelate in them too. Then some handgunners, and lastly the pistoliers. With 5+, I easily got the first turn, and my initial plan was to thin out his fast cav, sneak around his left, and then hold back to see what happens in the middle. So, shoot and kill some pistoliers, but they passed the panic. I also managed to kill a knight on the other flank, and that's it for the first turn. He don't care about my harassment units on the right, and instead shifts his block towards the middle. And on my left he moves the tank, the flagellants and the pistoliers up. For magic he got some ward save buffs on both the units with the prelate, which I didn't care about to dispel, so it didn't matter much. In his shooting I learned the hard way that I fucked up the position of a raider unit, which made it possible for his volley gun to kill 4 of them and panic the last one. The rest of his combined shooting on the left kills the other raider unit. 2 raider units down on his first turn. So on my left I see an opportunity to get rid of his tank if I can just make the charge. So I put the reroll charge blessing on the tank and charge it with the Dancers, the Prince with Corsairs and the Kraken, as I figure that either one of those units should be able to take down the tank on their own, at least hold it up for a while. Next, the acolytes charge the pistoliers and lose 2 to the stand and shoot. The acolytes on the right have a flank on his knights, so I decide to charge in and hope to get the breath off. It would probably been safer to just try to breath them from afar, but I couldn't resist that tempting flank charge. Both the Acolytes unit get in, and both Kraken and the Prince Corsairs needed 11 and both failed. The Dancers on the other hand made their 10-inch charge, so it felt good at the moment. For magic I don't get breath off on knights, but I kill a bunch of spearmen with the bolt spell instead. Shooting kills a couple of crossbows, and then in combat the pistoliers die, and I overrun off the board. The other acolytes kill 2 knights and win, but the knights stick, and we both reform. Against the tank I only do 2 wounds and lose the same amount back, so it's a push. It's his turn, and he fails a charge on the Kraken with the flagellants, but he brings the spears into the acolytes on the right. I don't think his magic did anything, and his shooting had about nothing to shoot at, so in combat I kill the tank and then pivot with the unit, so it's looking real good there. On the right I kill a bunch of spears and lose some, and it's a tie. Since it was a really good round for me, so now I have some juicy charge opportunities. Here I must say I think myself a bit clever. And I wanted a charge on this halberd supporting unit and then an overrun into the main block, but since I figured he would flee with the halberds, I put reroll charge blessing on his volley gun instead. Things went as planned. The halberds ran away and the dancers charged the volley gun instead and made it in. On the left the acolytes go against handgunners. The Kraken move around the flagellants, and I put the harpists diverting the flagellants, since I figured their overrun would practically get them out of the game. So fortunately this didn't come to happen, but I realize now that he just could have charged the prelate out and brought the flagellants to the middle anyway, which could have hurt real bad, but as you will see, it didn't come to happen. Magic, and I kill a bunch of handgunners and they run off. Shooting kills a crossbow or two, and in combat the volley gun die, and I pivot towards the middle. Both the crossbows and the engineer run off, and the crossbows also get over the edge. On the right I'm down to 2 acolytes, and his units are severely depleted too, but everyone stick. On his turn the flagellants fail their frenzy and goes into the harpist, so I got away with my mistake there. He rallies his halberds with the order thingy, and they move into position. For magic he casts a distracting hard target spell on his main block, and he miscasts. So he used 4 dice and he blows up 14 swordsmen, but he got the spell off at least. In combat he finally killed my acolytes, but he is left with only 2 knights and 2 spearmen. As a side note, I don't think he saved a single free up armor save on the knights during the whole game, and I must confess I was ignorant of the fact that the knights had 2 attacks each, so in the end I got away pretty easy in that combat, I must say. So it's my turn 4, and again I put the reroll charge blessing up and charge the dancers and both the corsairs unit into his swords. The flanking corsairs fail since the charge were like in 11 or something. Yet again my ignorance comes to show, as his halberds counter charge, which I hadn't counted on. My raiders also charge into his engineer. He tries to flee to get my unit further away, so I don't know if it mattered anything, but I catch him easily. So there's no magic and shooting does nothing. So for combat I challenge with the prince to limit some attacks on him. He accepts with his marshal, and I come to think about the marshal's magic kit and get some second thoughts. With both parry and distracting I only get one hit. Fortunately it wounds. He hits me back and does 2 wounds. So the rest of the combat is as close as the challenge, and with his extra supporting ranks he win by 1. That wasn't at all what I expected, but the prince first off passed the break test, so that's a small relief. But when the dancers fail their first roll, I'm thinking that this will fuck me up real bad. But they then passed the reroll, and I'm relatively certain that I got this now. So it's his turn, and he just moves a little to perhaps make anything happen in the end game. In the magic phase he does exactly the same as in the last turn, getting distracted enough but also miscasting. So Witchfire takes 15 swords this time, and there are none left but the characters. So a total of 29 swords dead to Witchfire is pretty brutal. And at this point I feel really happy about taking the acolytes, and I'm considering that I will to never take an oracle in a unit again. Seeing what happened to his unit, it's a bit sad, but just one Witchfire is just too rough to risk any expensive ranking file, in my opinion. So in combat I get another wound in on the marshal and he's dead. I win easily this time, and we call it there, and it's a huge Dreadelt win, but it was a little bit shaky at a point there. So I'm feeling a bit rusty, but only some minor mistakes, and also succeeding with some quite good moves left me with a good feeling, at least. I'm happy that the dancers didn't disappoint, especially since I just bought them and are just in the process of painting them up. It would be sad if I just shelved them again. The Kraken didn't get any action, sadly, but at least the leadership buff saved him from panic, which is better than what my monsters used to do. It's been way too few games lately, and I need to step things up if I am to have any chance in a tournament that's coming up early January, and I actually missed making reports, so expect some more in the weeks ahead, and we will see if I can get the hang of the new army. So see you later.